بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله. السؤال: هل يجوز للمرضع أن تفطر؟ ومتى تقضي؟ وهل تطعم? Is it lawful for a woman who's breastfeeding to break her fast? If so, when does she make up those missed days? Last but not least, is it lawful for her to feed? Is it lawful for her to feed a poor person instead of making up the day and or along with making up the day, but primarily feeding poor people as a substitute for missing the day of fasting as a result of breastfeeding? Is this lawful? Al-Jawab, the answer says, Al-Murdi' إذا كانت تخاف على ولدها من الصيام بحيث ينقص اللبن حتى يتضرر الطفل فإن لها أن تفطر. A breastfeeding woman, if and when she's scared for her child, whereas if she fasts, her milk supply, her milk flow will be affected, will be damaged, will become diminished, and obviously the child will be affected by the lack of milk, the quality of milk, the poor quality of milk, etc., then she is allowed to break her fast. She is allowed to refrain from fasting. ولكنها تقضي فيما بعد لأنها تشبه المريض الذي قال الله فيه ومن كان مريضا أو على سفر فعدة من أيام أخر يريد الله بكم اليسر ولا يريد بكم العسر. However, she is to make up those missed days. She is to make up the missed days. And that is because her situation and circumstance is very similar to someone who's ill, to someone who's sick. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said in the Quran about those who are sick, those who are ill, and whoever is ill or traveling, فَعِدَّةٌ مِّنْ أَيَّامٍ أُخَرٍ. Then they make up the days later on. They make up the missed days later on. Allah wants ease for you, and He does not want hardship and difficulty for you. فَمَتَى زَالَ الْمَحْظُورُ تَقْضِي إِمَّا فِي وَقْتِ الشِّتَاءِ لِقِصَرِ النَّهَارِ وَبُرُودَةِ الْجَوِّ أو إذا لم يكن في الشتاء ففي العام القادم. So whenever, the fatwa says, whenever the reason, the excuse behind breaking the fast, the reason behind not fasting, whenever it goes away, you're to make up those missed days. Regardless, it doesn't matter whether you make them up in the wintertime, you broke your fast in the summer, it was Ramadan and it was hot, longer days, and you decided to make them up in the winter when the days are shorter and it's cooler outside. And if not in the winter, then the next year. أما الإطعام فلا يجوز إلا في حال كون المانع أو العذر مستمرا لا يرجى زواله فهذا هو الذي يكون فيه الإطعام بدلا عن الصيام. As far as feeding people, feeding poor people for the days missed, then it is unlawful unless there is a continuous reason behind not fasting. Unless there is a reason which was going to continue, which stops one from fasting. A sickness or an illness, some type of obstacle or hindrance, which isn't going to go away in most cases. That is when the person, the Muslim, is allowed to feed a poor person for each missed day as a result of not fasting. This fatwa was given by Shaykh Muhammad bin Salih al-Uthaymin, rahimahullah ta'ala. And there are many things that we learn therefrom, and there are many things to pay attention to. From them is the importance of Islamic knowledge, beneficial knowledge, and the necessity of precision, and the harm and danger of sloppiness, and of people mixing and jumbling things up, being confused and taking a piece here, a piece there, a piece there, and they make it into a sloppy collage. Oh, a woman is breastfeeding, so she can automatically feed. This person is sick, so he can automatically feed, so on and so forth. I send my money overseas to this poor country, so on and so forth. La, laysa hakadha. It's not like that. It's not so simplistic. It's not so simplistic. So based off of this fatwa, just one fatwa that we read, he shows is that there is a difference, according to him, according to this fatwa, between a circumstantial illness or reason behind not fasting, such as breastfeeding, versus something which is continuous and terminal, something that's going to keep and continue. A person that has cancer, they could be cured. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He is ash-shafi, but the type of cancer, the level of cancer, in most cases, is something that's going to stay with him or her. Or any other type of illness or disease, and there are hundreds and thousands of them that a person was born with, or I've had it for 20 years, and I have to take medication every single day. I have to do this, and so on and so forth. In most cases, at best, I'm just going to manage it. But I'm not going to, in most cases, Allahu alam, get rid of it. That is when the person makes the feeding. As far as you broke your leg, and you're supposed to heal in 6 months, your leg is better, you took the medicine, you're off the medicine, you can't feed. You have to make up those days. And breastfeeding, according to this fatwa here, isn't something which is going to be a continual excuse or reason behind not fasting. It's going to be something that's going to go away. I weaned my child, stop breastfeeding, khalas. Now, this isn't the proper time or place of this complex fiqh discussion. We've explained that many classes, lectures, and workshops over the years. But the question is, if a woman is breastfeeding on average 2 years, roughly, depending on the woman, depending on the child, 16 months, 18 months, maybe some children longer than that. It's difficult to wean the child. It's a struggle, it's a fight. 2.5 years, etc. So on average, and obviously like the Quran tells us about the 2 years, that's 2 Ramadans that the woman has missed because of breastfeeding. In most cases, obviously there's give or take with regards to some women having the ability to eat for suhoor and eat for iftar, and that's enough. And other women not having that ability. It's difficult, it's a burden, it's a hardship upon my body. I'm thirsty, I'm exhausted, I'm dehydrated, etc., 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 etc. All right? So 2 years of her not fasting because she's breastfeeding. So that's 2 Ramadans. Roughly 60 days, 59 days, right? 58 days, okay? So she now has 60 days to make up. 60 days to make up. 30 days throughout the year to make up because she was breastfeeding. One may say it's not a problem. Ramadan's done. You have 11 months. 11 months to fast for 30 days. It's not that much of a difficulty, that big of a difficulty. Maybe, one may say. But 2 years go by. She's married. Menstruation, her cycle, her monthly period, etc. She's sick this day. She's traveling that day. It's very possible for it to become a traffic jam. And for our days to be backed up and piled up and stacked up. And the next thing you know, Ramadan's around the corner, she still has 40 days, 30 days, 25 days left. Can she feed? That's a different discussion. As well, we would say that are there differences with regards to a woman who's not afraid upon her milk, but she's afraid she's afraid for herself. It's not the milk that I'm worried about, but I can't take it. I'm exhausted and tired. Breastfeeding takes everything out of me, makes me extremely tired and thirsty. But the milk is there. Is there a different dynamic? Is there a different ruling? So scholars, they differentiate between a woman fearing the harm upon herself, her being incapable herself, versus a woman fearing the harm upon the child that's suckling and nursing. And of course, one may say the third scenario in which they both are applicable. Wallahu ta'ala alam.